Welcome to Brothers RC. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Cr-18p Evo. It says here that it's the next level of microcrawler performance. So let's jump over to the garage and take a look at whether it is or is not next level.
With this truck, you get an owner's manual, a charger, and a wrench. The controller is a standard little Hobby Plus controller. These controllers have become real common now, and they're a great little controller with all the different functions that you would need, including dip switches. Unfortunately, the instruction manual doesn't tell you anything about how to work these dip switches. This truck is a 2-speed, so the third channel allows you to switch from first to second gear. Then you can add some lights later and use the fourth channel here to operate those. The only thing I don't like about this controller is that it doesn't have a foam wheel. First impressions are I really dig this truck. The wheels and tires are big. The tires are nice and soft. The body and chassis is down low. It does have body clips, which kind of sucks, but the body is pretty nice and it's pinched in on the front and back, which is going to make it really good for crawling. It's also got these nice open fender wells, and it looks like it was designed really well so that you're going to get very minimal rubbing. This is well thought out, unlike that Cr-18p back there. I like how the shocks are very soft and they ride at a compressed height, which is going to keep your center of gravity really low. These tires have the same tread pattern as the ones on the Cr-18p back there, but these tires are softer. The foams inside are softer and the tire itself seems to be softer. It might be the same compound, but it has a taller sidewall, which allows it to squish down more. So I'm not sure if it's a different compound, but this tire feels a lot softer. These are also beadlock wheels, so you can take these tires off, use a different foam, maybe even put them on a different wheel. This thing has a ton of suspension travel right out the box. I can easily put a 64mm tire under there without getting any wheel lift in the back. I dig these Hobby Plus portal axles. They have a ton of clearance here. So underneath you've got a pretty cool chassis. It's aluminum. It's got a 5-degree slope for the skid plate here. It's got a lot of shock mount options. And it's got a lot of 4-link options, which is really cool as well. It's going to allow you a lot of different setups to tweak and tune this thing in a lot of different ways. This great FlySky receiver EOC, which allows for a ton of different plugins here. You've also got a servo here that's going to shift your 2-speed. Thing kind of comes with a small battery. It's a 360, but I think that they were worried about putting a heavy battery over here and causing balance issues. Got a 280 58 turn brush motor here, and I absolutely dig this setup. I haven't taken this thing outside. I ran it around a little bit in the garage, and this motor and trans setup with the 2-speed seems to be really nice. The shocks are laid down pretty far, and that's what gives you so much travel. And they also have nice soft springs, which keeps this thing at the lowered ride height that it's at. These feel really smooth. One more thing I just noticed about this truck is it has fake brake discs in there, and I think the hex is actually longer than the one on the Katana. And just checking the wheelbase like that, this one definitely has a wider wheelbase. However, just like that Cr-18p, there is a ton of slop in the drivetrain. We're talking about like an 1.5 inches plus of slop. But I can tell you, even with that slop, I know this thing's going to perform better than that Cr-18p already because of the wheels and tires on this are far better right out of the box. You're also not going to be getting that body rub that you do with that one. And this one is $40 cheaper, but you never actually know until you run it for a while. So let's take it out to my course, put it through its paces. Then we'll come back in and I'll give this thing my final judgment. All right, I got it lined up here at the start of the trailhead. Let's go ahead and see what it can do. Stay on the trail, yeah, right. So right off, this thing does have the little bit of herky-jerkiness. It doesn't happen so much when you're climbing under pressure, but it does happen, you know, on the flat and on the downhill. Right off, the slow crawl I'm getting with this thing is fantastic. Look, super slow. This thing kind of reminds me of the tarantula I built. It just kind of creeps over everything. When you have as many of these little trucks as I have, and you've been doing this for a while, you can just instantly get a feel for a vehicle. And I already like this one. Got a super good slow crawl. The tires are really good. This is under construction. With all these new trucks coming out, a lot of them are real capable out of the box, like this one. So I need some more difficult lines. This course here is, it's intermediate. Some of it is easy. I built it to test stock trucks, really. And I need something, with some really hard lines to test the capability of some of these newer trucks, and then, most of my builds. Man, I wish this truck didn't have that herky-jerky feeling, but it doesn't have it when you're climbing, so that's the plus. But when you're going downhill, on the rocks, it makes it just a little clumsy. Let's get into some more technical stuff here. The suspension on this truck is absolutely fantastic. It's definitely got more travel than the Katana. But you definitely lose just a little bit of control when, it's getting jerky like that. As usual, please don't forget to subscribe. I really appreciate it when someone subscribes to the channel, and I really appreciate all of my subscribers. Thank you. I'm obviously not doing this for free trucks, or they'd all be getting good reviews. The turning radius on this thing is a little better than the FearTech because the wheels aren't rubbing, but these things are so wide that they don't have great turning radiuses. You can barely fit through there. See how we do on this 50-degree climb here? Zero trouble at all. I doubt this truck's going to have any trouble with anything on this course. This thing does have a 2-speed, but I probably won't even use it. Most of the time I don't ever put my crawlers in, second gear. I mean, I'm not sure who wants their crawler to go fast. It's definitely not me. As long as it has enough wheel speed to hop up stuff, I don't need a second gear, that's for sure. Honestly, I think it's just more, things that are going to go wrong, another servo you got to buy, all that stuff. Come on, little buddy. Clawing its way up here. And there it goes. I'm definitely liking this truck way more than the FearTech. It's not that the FearTech was a bad truck, it's that it's $200, and it should be way more capable and way more well thought out of the box. FearTech had a ton of trouble right here on the poop chute. Let's see what this truck can do. Zero trouble. It didn't even spin the tires. Squeezed out the other side. Wheel speed in first gear right here. No problem. Love it. Let's see what this guy can do on this big line here. The only reason this looks so easy is because I've done it 1,000 times. I know exactly where to go to get up and down it. There's the Red Cat Cr-18. Fantastic truck. See how this thing does turning around right here? These turns here are definitely tight. I made them that way on purpose. Get a real good idea of how many times you would have to back up. Really did pretty good right there. All right, another demonstration of wheel speed. This one doesn't, of course, have the top end unless you switch the gears, but it seems to do just fine. Here's another climb that the Katana had trouble with. Let's see how this one does. Not too bad. So this thing is definitely more capable than the Katana. I think, there's a lot in the tires and the fenders not rubbing, to account for that. Portal axles are fantastic. Wrapping up the course here. Let's get this thing loaded up and take it inside, and I'll give you my final thoughts on this little truck.
All right, so this thing actually did really well out there. And that's mostly because it has bigger tires with no wheel rub. The body is lighter and sits way lower. And just like some of my high school girlfriends, it's really wide. But like the Katana, this thing's drivetrain is looser and sloppier than Obama's husband's butthole. You got about 1.5 inches of slop here, and that's a lot. If you look at the Red Cat, it's maybe 1/2 inch, as well as the TRX-4M is probably even less than that. This causes performance issues on the flats and downhills. It also causes a lot of performance issue when you try to use your wheel speed to jump over stuff. The truck will jump forward and then sort of spring back and forth, kind of like a pinball. But in the end, I really like this truck and how it performs. I can kind of overlook that because the price wasn't nearly as high as the Katana, and it doesn't really have any other problems. When I do my dirt cheap upgrades video on this, I'm going to see if I can fix that drivetrain. If you found this video helpful or you're interested in seeing any of that, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Tap the bell and get notified of my next videos. And remember, when you think RC, think O Brothers RC.